Multiverse is a concept about which we know frighteningly little.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Marvel Mondays podcast. This is me, Tex-Mex Morty, and we are in for quite a treat today. We got a lot to cover. We're going to be obviously talking about the two biggest releases that Marvel Studios had this past week. Both Moon Knight had its season finale, or series, as they claim. But I have a feeling we'll see more of him. And then we also had the most anticipated release of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. So let's go ahead and just bring in the panel and see what they have to say. Welcome in, guys. How y'all doing today?
Doing good.
Let's go. Let's do this.
Definitely hear some
excitement today.
What's up?
Just the four of us.
Yeah, it's just, of course, you, Mr. Oyman, who is now going to be my co-host on this show. So hopefully your connection works better this time than it did last week.
Yeah. Hopefully. I'm at home, so that should help.
All right. And then we have the usual suspects on the panel as well. Miss Cap, how are you today?
I'm doing all right. Been saving my voice for today, so I am ready to roll.
Great to hear it. And of course, we have you, JT, coming back. It's always nice to have you. How you doing today, buddy?
Dude, I'm so excited for this episode because we're talking about a movie and a TV show that kind of changed the direction of the MCU is going, so I can't wait to hear what everybody says.
Oh yeah, definitely. So I'll go ahead and give the privilege of our co-host to pick what we're going to be starting with today. But other than, of course, Doctor Strange, any of y'all seen anything or been doing anything pretty interesting as far as movies or shows or games go?
Yes. So last night, me and my sister, we watched a movie called What If. It's with Daniel Radcliffe in it, and it's kind of a romantic comedy. It's on Amazon Prime, and it was great. A movie that I've not seen before, but overall, it was quality stuff, man. I really enjoyed it.
The name of it?
It's called What If.
What If?
Yeah, What If.
Like the Marvel?
Yeah.
Was there the Watcher in it?
Well, I mean, they were the Watchers.
Yeah.
I wish I had like a little soundboard for like the there you go. I close enough. But yeah, definitely looking forward to seeing some of our bingo cards. Of course, unfortunately, Mr. Johnny Joestar wasn't able to join us today, and Slucius is probably gonna sit this one out. He was messing too much with the Darkhold, and he got a bit corrupted, and we'd rather he have it contained. He's on time out.
Yeah, but then now we won't have any heated discussions or debates now.
Oh no, I told him. I asked him if he wanted to come, but he's like, "No." Then I'm gonna go off on a tangent, and it's probably gonna be like a 5-hour show.
Okay.
And
That
I'm
makes
like,
sense.
"Yeah, that makes
Alright.
sense. Yeah, we're gonna. I want to keep it under 2 hours, hopefully. I mean, if it keeps going, it keeps going. But he's like, if you have me on, it'll be 5 hours or something like that. So. Or I mean, he might join in the chat, but if he does, Slucius, if you're out there, you're always welcome, of course. Even if it
love
does,
you.
even if
We
you
love
do
you,
turn
man.
this
We
into
love you.
a 5-hour stream, I'd say go at it. But anyways, so Mr. Oyman, will you do the honors of either flipping a coin or just choosing what should we start with?
I think we should start with the finale to Moon Knight. You know, I mean, between the two big things that came out last week, I don't know how y'all felt about Moon Knight, but I do feel like because it came out first, we should talk about it first.
Okay, so why don't you ask either Miss Cap or JT their initial thoughts or something like that? I think I hear something at the door. I'll be right back.
All right. Miss Cap, we'll start with you. What did you think of episode 6, the finale of Moon Knight?
You know, I enjoyed it. I thought, though, it was a little bit rushed, but with the overallness, I actually enjoyed this finale more than most of the finales of the period shows.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was really good. But all I gotta say, it was a little rushed with the 45 minutes runtime.
What did you like the most about it?
If I had to say, honestly, I really liked the action in this.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually well thought out, and actually, you know, I know we always talk about like Marvel's third act CGI act, but you know, this one was actually kind of well thought out. You know, with Mark and Steven fighting
Arrow,
and then Ambient fighting Khonshu. I think it was really planned out and actually really interesting to watch. So
you said you thought it was a little bit rushed though. What would you have done to kind of change
I agree.
that?
I think the more rushed part, I think, was like from when the time he's in the field of dreams to him coming back to life was just like, you know, almost like instant. But it was like I loved it, but I was like, maybe we could have gotten a little bit more, you know. I don't know. I guess it was not something missing. I can't really pinpoint it.
JT, what about you? How did you feel about Moon Knight episode 6?
Actually, I enjoyed the finale. I thought that even though it's rushed, I think it had to be because that to give some, because you know, Moon Knight needed to be alive in this episode in order to be hero. But I think they really did a good job of Mark recognizing that he needs Steven and being completely whole. But I have to agree with Miss Cap here is the fight scene was incredible. With Tim and Mark and Steven come together doing all the different suits and appropriate times and like
switching back and forth and all that.
You're switching back and forth, and it was great. And then like the overall theme of forgiveness for yourself and you know dealing with your DID to a point where you can kind of cooperate with one another, you know, with your other person was kind of a breath of fresh air when it comes to, hey, you know, people have these problems, and but this show can lead to, hey, even though you have these problems, you can kind of deal with them in a healthy way. Then, like what Mark did, you know, when forgiving yourself, recognizing that, hey, I created you to help me solve some problems, and we can come together and help save the world. So that's something that's really, really cool in the show.
Let me ask you real quick. What was your favorite moment, or a moment that stood out to you the most in the finale?
I think my favorite moment was when Layla becomes Spock's avatar with the wings.
Yeah, that was cool.
They did Wonder Woman 1984 better than
each other,
than
and
Warner
also,
Brothers.
Mr. Knight comes out of nowhere and just punches the guy, and he's shoving on his shoulders, being all cool and everything. So overall,
always
that fight scene was really awesome.
Tex-Mex Morty, what about you?
What
did you think of it?
I have mixed feelings about it because I did like what we got, and it did exceed what I was expecting for the most part. But I have to agree with Miss Cap. It felt really, really rushed. Like there was a lot going on at once, and it just feels like nothing really had a lot of time to breathe. I mean, even the fight scenes, it was really badass. It was
ahead, right?
What's up?
It was all coming to a head though, so it kind of makes sense why it would.
Yeah, but
quickly paced.
it's like they touched everything they needed to, but they kind of just gave you the bare minimum of what they needed to. Like she said, Miss Cap said, they got out of the afterlife portion like really fast. It made it feel more like not so much a natural progression. It felt a bit more like we only got 5 minutes to get you out of here, so let's just go through it. I mean, it did have a nice touching moment once again with Mark going back for Steve and basically saying, if you're not going to be here, I don't want to be here. So that was real sweet, but it just felt really fast, like sudden. It's like for us to be left in a cliffhanger last week to come to this, I don't know, it felt rushed. And then there were other aspects, like even the fight scene. I know they did it for a purpose, but I feel like we got a really badass fight scene. It was going, and right when it was like at peak, when he was fighting Harrow, it like switched off, and it just, again, I know why they did it, because it was another tease.
Oh, you mean when Jake came in, or when?
Yeah, when Jake came in, it's like, yeah, they're leading to Jake, but it also felt like we're like, all right, we don't have enough time to actually show another 5 minutes of this battle or budget, so let's just have him black out again. That's kind of what it came out to.
Yeah.
It was cool though. I did like Layla when she turned, what is her name in this? The Scarlet Sands or Scarab? Scarlet.
Yeah,
Scarlet Scarab.
There you go, the Scarlet Scarab. I thought that was pretty cool, and she did an amazing job. And they just went well. They like had so much good chemistry, even in the choreography of the fight scenes. When it came to switching from Moon Knight, Mr. Knight, and her just doing like beatdown combos on these thugs. And it was just badass. But I felt like the Avatar or the main god battles was a little bit like silly, with them looking like Godzilla versus King Kong. It was cool, don't get me wrong. It felt kind of out of place. I don't know why they had to be like giant monsters. I understood why Amit was, because she was like draining souls and getting powers, but why the hell was Khonshu able to?
Because it was a full moon. It's really big when it's full moon. Full powers get unleashed.
I guess it seemed a little funny.
I mean, that's how I read it.
They're like, I guess, you know how I wouldn't say like astral projection, but like, you know how you have the avatars fighting, but you also have the ones they're representing fighting. So I think that was that was the concept they were trying to do.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, I see. I get what you're... Like I said, it's not even a main gripe. Like, I would not knock this down any little bit, because I did enjoy what we got, and I will admit, it surprised me that it managed to not completely drop the ball. I thought that they would kind of leave me with a lot more to be desired, which they kind of did, but purposely. But it did...
gave you more than you expected?
Yeah, they gave me more than I expected, and I'm glad. I all the other Disney Plus endings, for the most part, I would probably put in the mid, like 5 to 6 range out of 10. This one, I would say, I would probably be around a 7.5 pretty comfortably, which is fine. Not
for
amazing.
The episode or the whole series?
Oh, for the episode only. No, the whole series is definitely probably a solid 8 for me, easily, if not more. I would have to probably rewatch it one more time. But yeah, no. Did y'all like the main action that we finally got to get Moon Knight back? And when he came back, he was pretty much stronger than ever. Did y'all enjoy that for the most part?
Yeah.
I really did like the switch between Steven and Mark. Honestly, that was very
awesome.
Smooth, very nice. Like them finally coming together and understanding each other, that they can be able to switch, smoothly, than having that hard, like, I don't remember who's fronting now. Is fresh breath air.
Yeah, and it was also when Mr. Knight popped up and he brought those batons and just started doing like awesome combo. It was just so badass. It was amazing. And it was also amazing when he's like, "How are we gonna get over there?" And he's like, "Do you forget I am the moon, or the moon god?" And then he goes and flies up in there. That was badass. But we also did actually, before we get to like a little bit more in depth about stuff like that. Did y'all know we're aware that the Eternals were originally supposed to be in this?
No, I didn't know that.
No.
Yeah,
I
apparently.
don't know really how they would have, but
Well, from the interview that it was either the director or the showrunner, I can't remember which one, but they said
that's right.
they said that they were originally going to have like a flashback where Alexander the Great was the Avatar of Ammit and such like that, and it was somehow going to lead into a big battle that also involved like 4 of the Eternals, not all of them, just 4. But
I thought they might go into the direction of Kang because Kang was Ramatut.
yeah. That's where I thought it was going at first, but
I'm not mad that they didn't. It made sense why they didn't.
But yeah, no, they were. They just said hell no, and they shut that shit down, and I'm glad, honestly. I've been well aware that I did not care for that movie, but I know Mr. Oyman has a deep, profound love for it. So I will continue to shit talk it just to piss him off.
Wait, who, me?
Yeah, you, of course. Who else likes that garbage? Anyways,
Well, I have to give my thoughts on the Moon Knight finale. I haven't gone yet.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I forgot that you...
No, you're good. I was waiting for everyone else to go.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Oyman.
So, I probably did what not a lot of people did, but my first time watching this finale, I watched the entire series nonstop leading into it. And to be honest, the whole show feels like just a twice as long but slightly lower budget Marvel movie. But it still has a lot of the same strengths that most of their best movies have, I thought. Now, the finale for me worked on pretty much every level because I had been watching the entire show for 4 hours leading into it. I got what felt like a substantial amount of Moon Knight throughout, or at least in comparison to how much of the costume hero you get in the films. It was just there was a little bit more padding because of the character development and the story they were doing. But I didn't feel the sort of like rushed nature that I imagine I would have felt had I just watched the episodes standalone, having not watched every episode other than like a week apart. Doing that, I could see why some people might feel the same way about this finale, the way they would about WandaVision or Hawkeye. But because I had watched every single episode leading into it, it felt fine to me. Like, I didn't really have any problem with the pacing or anything. I thought the action was great, and the end credit scene was one of my favorite. It was just, I loved it. It was probably the highlight of the entire show for me, to be honest. And I knew, the other thing is I knew it was going to happen. I didn't know for sure, I didn't read any spoilers, but I could just tell by the way that the show was going. Probably going to wait till the mid-credit scene to introduce Jake, and I loved how they did it, straight out of the comics.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, I agree that, what's it called? I thought it was going to be pretty late in the game to introduce Jake, but they managed to do it, and I'm kind of glad they did because based on how this ended, it does lead into a potential season 2 or to see him, because honestly, they almost got me for a split second. I knew that based on the ending before they introduced them, that this season wasn't going to end with Mark actually getting free of Khonshu, because if he did, then how the hell would we continue?
Moon Knight, right?
Yeah, no Moon Knight.
Yeah.
So when they showed that it was... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, the other thing that made the Jake thing obvious, the reason why I knew he was going to show up at some point during the finale was because when you watch every episode, they really do reference the fact that there's a third personality from the get-go. Throughout the entire show, there's always Mark and Steven going, did you do that? No, that wasn't me. Well, who was it? I don't know.
Yeah, no, so, they do have that.
I knew that they were going to it, and I love that.
But what I mean, late in the game, I wasn't expecting them to do it in this season. Like I said, I thought they would save that for next season or something like that. Kind of
a perfect tease, though.
Yeah, but I'm glad that they basically fully acknowledged it, and not only that, they actually showed him too.
Yeah, he did.
Even driving in that limousine type car that was in one of the, I think it was like what, the 2014
Jeff
run? Yeah, with the Spectre as a license plate. That was pretty cool.
Conchu wearing a suit.
Yeah, that was straight out of Jeff Lemire. That was
Oh my god.
But where do you guys
That's
think we
fire.
could see Moon Knight next? Do you guys think we're gonna have to wait till like a couple years till they film another season, or do you think we'll see him beforehand? And if so, where do you expect him to show up? I'll let you go first,
Yeah.
Mr. Oyman, since you went last time.
Honestly, I don't really know where Moon Knight could show up in terms of stuff that they have announced already. I would think, I think there could be a potential connection between Moon Knight and Thor: Love and Thunder, because you have Gore the God Butcher butchering gods, and Moon Knight does deal with gods. But as far as Moon Knight himself, I really don't know where they'll. Maybe an Echo.
Echo, that's an interesting place to put him.
I mean, they're both kind of street level esque. Like maybe they have him show up if they have Daredevil show up or something. But I'm not really sure, to be honest.
Well, let me ask you this: have we gotten any potential release slate for Blade, or are they even starting to film that?
I gotta imagine they're filming it soon, but I don't know if they have
Yeah.
an updated or an announced release date. They've
Okay.
announced most of their upcoming slate, like in terms of release date window, but Blade is still kind of like Fantastic Four. We don't know when it's coming out yet.
I find it weird that they kind of announced that when I feel a little bit too early.
Blade would probably be. You're right. Blade would probably be where he would show up.
Yeah,
next.
that's where I could see him showing up, him and like the Black Knight and such. Which I'm not gonna bring Doctor Strange too much into this, but based on some of the stuff we saw in Multiverse of Madness, I could see them. They went pretty deep, or maybe not deep, but they definitely are testing the waters even more with the supernatural stuff. So I feel like that's where Blade, Black Knight, maybe Ghost Rider, and Moon Knight are gonna start coming into play a bit more. But we'll see. That's just where I think. What about you, Miss Cap? What are your opinions?
But, I agree. I don't know where they were gonna put him next. With all the upcoming stuff they got coming up, it's like very hard to pinpoint where like these cameos or like team ups are gonna happen. It's kind of like up in the air right now. But
Or if
I
they'll get a
really
second
can't.
season.
Yeah, but I really can't wait to actually see where he might end up, wherever that may be, because I definitely want to see more Moon Knight.
Oh yeah, I could agree to that. What are your thoughts, JT? Any predictions from you?
Like what everybody said, I don't know where Moon Knight is going to be, but I do see a season 2 coming late next year, maybe in September, October area, because I know WandaVision season 2 is going to be releasing. Oh, no, I'm sorry, Loki season 2 early in 2023. So maybe they're just waiting for that to happen, then film Moon Knight early next year, and then debut it maybe in the fall or kind of the winter of 2023. So I don't. So
Okay.
I think that's my estimation.
Oh, I know when he's next showing up. It's got to be Werewolf by Night.
Oh yeah, I forgot that's rumored to come out. What, this year, ain't it?
Because they haven't announced it, but it is supposed to come out this year. They've already had. It's been people working on it, but they just haven't officially announced it.
Well,
I thought they would after the finale of this show.
And on top of that, it's wasn't Werewolf by Night where Moon Knight debuted first?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. So yeah, that's gonna be pretty cool. I'm
Okay.
pretty stoked about that.
Okay.
But I mean, I don't think Werewolf by Night is like a show that he could be a part of. If anything, it's just a special that he might show up.
Yeah, I see that happening.
Yeah, it's a cameo. That's really the only
But Blade and Werewolf by Night are like the two I think that. I really hope they do a second season though. I love this first whole season was great.
Well, I was gonna ask about going back to basically harping on the it felt rushed. You know what? One thing did bug me though. That again, it felt rushed. That there was no conclusion or anything. What the hell happened to Layla and like the whole Scarlet Scarab and all that? It just ended so suddenly. I
She's
feel
a
like
superhero now.
well, yeah, but what now? Did she?
But did she keep the avatar? Like,
yeah,
did
because she said it was
stay
temporary.
Turret's avatar? Like,
Holiday.
It's
Yeah, I think she'll
temporary.
probably stay being like doing crime fighting in Egypt.
Well, yeah, she has had a
until
pretty.
Mark returns back to her. Because you're right, that's true. They wrapped up Mark and Steven's own storyline, but she is Mark's wife, and they never got divorced, and she was kind of falling for Steven. So it's just kind of weird that they sort of left. That's why I think they got to have a second season.
Yeah,
planned.
but I just found it weird that there was like she got him that far, and then she was
no
mention,
resolution. Yeah.
like no resolution there. It's like there was a flash, and then that's the last we saw of her. We don't know what the heck happened afterwards. We don't. I know they try to pull it with the like, oh, it was all in his mind, but then we find out it was like,
it wasn't.
nope. Yeah,
Yeah.
they just they did a double
I lied.
lying, but what's it called? I can't be the only one who thought that. Did any of y'all feel the same way or catch it?
Until you brought it up, I guess because I watched the episode once, and I watched it after watching the whole thing, so it was kind of late at night. But yeah, you're right. They didn't resolve Layla's storyline at all. But
Well, I know for a fact that she's probably not gonna give up being the Avatar just because she seemed to be very well received by the audience, and that Marvel has
it was cool. It was their version of Wonder Woman.
Yeah, and they have like a new little a draw too. Hey, this is the first female Egyptian superhero, so they got a little like plus one pat in the back for that, and that's definitely gonna help. Yeah.
When the little girl was like, "Are you an Egyptian superhero?" I thought that was like kind of cool. I was like, "Hey, what do you know? This is how to be the first Egyptian superhero."
So if they make her not be the Avatar anymore and not have the powers that I don't know. I feel like they're not gonna be.
Yeah, I can't imagine because that would make this finale feel really stupid. Then, like, she only gets them to conveniently fight the bad guy and then gets rid of the powers right away. It's like okay,
there's missed potential. They take it away. That's what I was trying to say. There's missed potential. But how did y'all feel about Jake Lockley for the most part? I know we only got like 30 seconds of him, and it now makes sense why there was that Spanish song at the end of the fourth or fifth episode when Mark quote unquote dies. That also was kind of weird too, how fast he was able to be brought back to life. But anyways, Jake Lockley. How did y'all feel about it? I'll start off with you, JT.
Dude, Jake looks menacing. He has that look of, I don't care who you are, I'm obeying my master, and I am going to kill you. Like, legit kill you with no questions. I mean, I am afraid of Jake, even by looking at him, especially when he turned around with his piercing eyes and looking at Arrow, and he just shoots him with, like, no remorse. I am scared of Mark and Steven. Especially with Jake in the picture, I am scared for them both. And hopefully, in season 2 or whatever they are, hopefully they will band together and help defeat Jake, because Jake is a monster and he's going to kill anybody and anything.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
I'm kind of scared of Jake.
Wasn't it crazy how Oscar Isaac completely looked like a different person as Jake? Like, it was obviously his face, but you could just tell.
He had no mustache though. No mustache. What the fuck's up with that?
Well, it would have to be a fake mustache unless Steven and Mark are going to be.
Just let him borrow yours. Just let him borrow yours, Mr. Women. You got a what's it called? A Jake Lockley mustache going on your profile pic.
Just need the cap, right?
Yeah. Well, you could totally do that. But me personally, I had only one gripe with it that was kind of weird, because he's working for Khonshu, and Khonshu is Mr. Voice of Justice, basically, like, oh, I'll harm the bad guys, this and that, and anyone who threatens an innocent life. But did y'all notice that some of those nurses in the background were straight up murked? They look like they've been shot in the head. So is Khonshu now just changing his MO and he doesn't give a crap anymore, or what the hell goes up with that? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm looking too much into it, but I was like, that seems out of character for Khonshu, which is technically
I didn't really see that. But
Or maybe it's
maybe
just
I'll go back
Jake.
and watch it.
What were you saying, Miss Cat?
I mean, Hero definitely deserved what Jake brought to him, so that's why Khonshu was like.
But I mean, the employees of the facility.
So many innocent people died because of Ahmed.
Yeah, but I doubt that if Khonshu's like, I'm all about justice and such, even killing an innocent just to get to a bad guy just doesn't sound what he's all or what he's been preaching this whole show.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Were you gonna say something, Miss Cat?
You know, I would say, like, I mean, what you were saying earlier was just like, I think that's probably all Jake and not just Khonshu. I think that's just who Jake is.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I kind of also have to kind of disagree with JT a little bit with, you know, Jake being this evil persona.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think it's gonna be like Steven and Mark versus Jake. I really think it's gonna be kind of another like,
You have
hey,
to learn to live with him.
You gotta learn, yeah, exactly. You gotta learn to live with him, even though yes, he may be a little bit more volatile and hostile.
Yeah.
Still a part of Mark, and you know that has to be addressed. Like, how did he become? You know, how did he become an alter? And I think that's probably what they're going to explore. You know, in future seasons if they do one.
Okay, well, hold on, let's see. So Tex-Mex Morty stepped away. I do want to say one thing that really I appreciated about this show. Like, as dodgy as some of the CGI and effects are throughout the whole show, I thought they absolutely nailed this Khonshu, but Taware and Amit I thought looked fantastic. And it's probably why we didn't get them a whole lot in the show, but the amount that we got from them, like, obviously, you know, they're big CG characters because they're like animal god, Egyptian gods, but I thought the budget was well spent and the performances really came through with those CG designs. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I gotta agree with that.
Yeah,
Did you have a particular favorite out of the three?
You know, I actually kind of did like Amit. Like,
yeah, she's
he
probably my
was
favorite.
pretty sinister, but like her design was really
cool.
Nice. Yes. And
the
the voice, I don't know.
Dreads.
Yes, and I don't know who the voice actor is for Ahmed, but honestly, the voice matched with, you know, with how she looked, and honestly, it was well put together.
I like the way she used her kind of tail-like hair. It was sort of like a snake, but that was made out of her dreadlocks.
That was pretty cool.
Taware also had dreadlocks.
Yeah.
Even Khonshu had a little bit of hairs floating down. I kind of thought that was interesting how they gave all these creatures who don't have hair in real life, they gave them hair as gods.
Yeah, no, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So before y'all think we're done with Moon Knight for today?
Any other last final thoughts?
Or actually, yeah. Overall, as a quote unquote series, because I know they're gonna bring back season 2, but as a series, as of now,
it might be a movie like Captain America 4. You know, is a follow up to Falcon Winter Soldier. It might be something like that. But I prefer another season personally.
Yeah, I could see that. Well, I mean, now that they've introduced this character in a movie, they could do a lot with, and like you were mentioning, the shoddy CG, they could definitely get a bit more better representation of his suit and all these other gods, which they did look good, but imagine if they could look even better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Overall, as a first season, what would y'all rate this one?
No, I would have to put it as about an 8. It was really up there in my top 3 of the so far shows on Disney Plus. I gotta say, it was a good 8. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Same. You, JT?
It's up there about top 3 with WandaVision and Loki. I like to put this at an 8.5 out of 10. But I think, in my opinion, WandaVision to me, I think it's the best Disney Plus show so far. But I think Moon Knight is and Loki. I mean, again, like those three can be in any order. I mean, those are my top three so far.
I could see that. And you, Mr. Wyman?
Well, there were a couple areas where the show could improve. I thought some of the pacing, again, when you watch the show beginning to end, no stops, there are some areas where the pacing or the overall, I guess, show making on display could have been pulled off a little better, especially with some of the budget. But I thought the budget was really well utilized for what they were able to give us. All in all, though, I would say, yeah, about an 8 is where I'm at, which is where I find myself giving most MCU projects, because an 8 is still really good, but only a few of them are able to get higher than that for me.
Yeah, I agree. I actually had an 8 in mind myself. I'd say it definitely deserves the Shield stamp of approval from the Screen Crusaders. But yeah,
Yes.
it definitely the writing was on point, the characters and stuff like that. I just fell in love with them. They were very well written. They felt very human. Like they didn't just feel like comic book characters. And yeah, the CG was spotty. It did lack a little bit of action when I wish we would have gotten a little bit more, just a tad bit. But what we got was fantastic. I definitely would personally place this one as my favorite MCU Disney Plus show as of right now. Maybe
Did it meet your expectations, or how did it match your expectations initially?
it pretty much gave me as good of a show as I was hoping, but not for the same reasons as I thought I would. I thought it was just going to be like nonstop,
that.
balls to the wall action, just badass looking Moon Knight. But what we got was a lot more deeper character study than anything. We got to know Mark and Steve and Khonshu and their relationships, and got some other interesting characters along the way. But
Ethan Hawke was a good villain.
oh yeah, he did a fantastic job.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I like I said, I was expecting a different type of show. The trailers did not really show what the show was about. But I am glad of what we got, and I wouldn't have it any other way. So I'd probably say it's about an 8, 8.5 for me. But if that's it, then we are under spoiler. Yep.
Spoilers!
I mean, granted, the first part was also spoilers, but Moon Knight has been out for about a week at this point, and
it's available on television.
Yeah, it's easier to watch on your downtime. You don't have to go anywhere. But Doctor Strange is just came out. Not everyone could make it onto the weekend. So once again, if you haven't watched it, get out of here. But
Guess what, motherfucker?
it's time to talk about Doctor Strange. But before we get completely started and go down the line about how important this movie turned out to be for the MCU, let's go back to our bingo cards and let me see. I'll go one at a time real quick. So it looks like Mr. JT, you had Wanda rescues her kids. So Doctor Strange sacrificed himself. I mean, well, no, because
Technically.
He dies, but he doesn't sacrifice himself.
Which
he
one?
was trying to steal America's
Oh, yeah,
power
no,
at
he
the
was-
beginning, and he got killed.
Yeah, he got killed. He didn't sacrifice. There's a difference. So I guess that one's also White Vision appeared. Zombie Cap and Ghost Rider make a brief appearance. But man, JT, you were right on the concept of some of
You're
these.
close with some of them.
It's just not quite. But it's I'll give you a half a point for Doctor Strange sacrifices himself, half a point for Zombie Cap because we got zombie someone. You get 1 whole point for the free space, my man.
Let's go.
Oh man, sorry, I had to do that. The Illuminati imprisons Doctor Strange for his crimes. No Way Home. You got the imprisons right, but not another half a point. I'll give you half a point. I'll give you that. How's that?
One
sound?
whole.
So,
Although I don't know, we do see him get imprisoned in the trailer, so
Yeah.
try to see if that one can count.
So then Young Avengers are teased. I was hoping that one would be real though. Honestly, that would have been kind of nice. But we would have needed a longer movie for that.
There. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of the X-Men, including Wolverine, battle evil variants, and then Mephisto will be revealed as the next big bad guy.
Yeah.
So you got a total of like 1.5 points. Oh no, two, because we gave you two. We gave you 2 sets of half points. So,
yeah, that's right.
we'll see that. Let me see who was next. Mr. Joe Stars.
Well, his got voided, right?
Oh yeah, he got voided on most of these. and now that I'm seeing it, the only ones that were out there that weren't in the thing actually also were wrong. So
What else did he get?
Johnny Joestar, you
Lady
got
Sylvie
nothing.
and Mobius, right?
Yeah, because I remember I thought it said Morbius because I couldn't read his handwriting. So now let's go to Mr. Oyman. So just like JT, he said Ghost Rider will appear. Mention of Dormammu. I mean, we got the Dark
we didn't hear
Dimension,
his name.
but we didn't hear his name. So half a point for you. We're giving half points.
Okay. Because there was sort of a reference to the Dark Dimension, but you're right, they didn't say his name.
Yeah, and then Tony Stark variant. No Tom Cruise for you.
Kind of glad to be honest.
Living Tribunal mentioned. We didn't get a mention. We actually got a glimpse.
An appearance.
Yeah, we got a glimpse. Was it just like his?
It was like his face. It was super brief.
But there was
like half a second.
Yeah, but there was 2 other faces, like not, and I don't mean like his triple face going on. It was like side by side. So I wonder if that was just like.
We'll have to look at a in-depth screenshot and see if it even was the Living Tribunal.
It was. That was most definitely him.
Okay.
But it.
So should that be what, half a point?
What? Yeah. Well, no, that's a full point because you got one aspect. If anything, it's
But I didn't say appearance. I said a mention of, like someone would name drop the Living Tribunal.
Oh
That's
man,
specifically what.
it sounds like we got a comment saying that everyone but me has a bit of an echo, but I don't know what it is today.
Yeah, I can hear even when I talk, I hear everyone having an echo. They just sound like the normal kind of broken up a little bit.
Okay, that sucks.
Yeah.
Because let me see. Hold on. Let me mess with one little thing and see if that might help. Yeah,
Normally I don't hear everyone else echo.
I doubt it will help. Because I hear everyone fine. I don't hear an echo from you guys.
I've been hearing echo myself.
Oh,
So,
it's kind of gone now. You still hear it?
Better?
Oh, yeah, I did. I just heard myself.
Wait, I don't hear echoes anymore either.
Oh, really?
Great.
Okay.
Oh, no, it's come back.
Oh, it's
No,
coming.
that's
I hear
false
you
alarm.
echoing.
Wonder why. I mean, it might be OBS itself right now.
Oh, yes.
But I'll have to see about figuring out. No, but you guys are on 2 different things, so I don't know what it is. Hold on.
Ask chat if they can still hear us echoing.
Could y'all still hear everyone else echo?
Let's talk. Let's all talk here. If we hear echoes, are there echoes in the stream?
Yeah.
All right, who
I
knows?
just hear myself echo.
Yeah, I can hear myself echoing, but sometimes I hear Rachel, you, and JT. I sometimes hear you two echoing. Sometimes I don't.
All right. Well, we'll just proceed, and hopefully, I did mess a couple of settings both on Discord and OBS, so hopefully that might have fixed it. If not, we'll have to see about doing it later, because it still says I just got another chat that says it does echo, but it is also like 30 seconds behind on YouTube. But back to where we were talking about, you'd get a free space, so you got 2.5 points so far. Maria Rambeau, Captain Marvel, you got that one. 1, 2, 3. I want to avoid your reference to events from No Way Home because the trailer.
Let me explain this one though. There's a reason why I put that on the bingo card and why I think it should count, because this film was originally supposed to come out before No Way Home. Now, I know that they did rewrites and reshoots and all that, but I did not think that they would actually mention No Way Home There's no Marvel movie that hasn't had Spider-Man in it reference Spider-Man, and
Okay.
this is not a Sony movie. So I thought that, like, even though it's Raimi, there could be a Spider-Man reference, but I didn't really think they would actually reference No Way Home directly, especially because of the whole forget spell. So I thought that they would use that as a way to just pretend like No Way Home didn't even happen, and this movie can just carry on from WandaVision and Doctor Strange 1.
Yeah. Okay. I guess you're kind of there. I just feel like it was a given, especially how even like you said with the reshoots and stuff, because America Chavez was originally supposed to be in No Way Home. I think she was gonna be how the other guys get in.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was part of the. She was like in concept art of for No Way Home. Let me just ask something. All right. So,
What else did I miss?
Mr. Fantastic appearance. Oh, you got another point. And
Yep.
this
That
one,
made me scream.
you're gonna win, or you're gonna have this point on a technicality because you put Bruce Campbell cameo. Yeah, it was not on the trailer, but you know wherever Sam Raimi goes, Bruce Campbell is.
I heard they made a lot of cuts. I heard that they might cut him out.
Yeah, no, I doubt if Sam Raimi probably would have been like, if he's not in the movie, I don't want the movie.
But you did tell us to predict stuff that could happen in the movie, and that wasn't in the trailer.
That's what I'm saying. That I feel like that is what's it called? I'll give you that one because it is true, but it was on a
Best
technicality.
cameo ever.
I love the Evil Dead callbacks too. Anyway, so it sounds like we're probably gonna have a little bit of the echo throughout the rest of the show. Unfortunately, we'll have to figure out how to fix that next time.
Alright. Hopefully we can still hear what each other's saying.
Yeah, no. They could hear. It's just it's an echo for some reason. I don't honestly know.
Echo.
You're not making it better.
Sorry.
All right. So let's see. Now we're moving on
bingo,
to
though, right?
yeah. I
How
think
many points is that?
you basically won. I could already tell.
No, but
right
how
now.
many points though? I'm just curious.
You got a bingo, right?
You got like 5 of them. Yeah, but they weren't like up and down, or they were like one here, one there, one. So
yeah.
I only got one bingo.
You got the
Right?
most.
There weren't 2 A's. Bingos, including the free space.
yeah. All right.
Okay.
So let's move on to my card, and so no Wolverine again. My card was. I ended up doing what's it called? A bit more of a wish list than it was an actual guesses, because I talked to Mr. Oyman, and a lot of the stuff that I've said did end up happening, and between us all, actually, we guessed a lot of stuff that did happen. We each got like a few here, a few there, but my wish list, honestly, no Wolverine, so on me for that one. We got Black Bolt. And
I really like that.
I had to
but
take that.
oh well.
I don't know if I want to take this point because I said, "Oh, they're gonna redeem him," or if he shows up, I want them to redeem them.
They totally redeemed him.
No, they half-ass
guys-
redeemed him. It's like they took 2 steps forward, 1 step back. So I don't know if that counts as a redeem for me. It's like,
How else would he have died though? You knew that everyone on the Illuminati had to die. So how?
oh,
else
I
would
made
they
that
have filled
perfectly
up
clear.
in a satisfying way.
No, I just wish, and I even told Slucious this when we were working out one day, is the way I feel like if they redeem him is if, and I told him specifically, if within the first 5 seconds he doesn't get taken out, and I specifically said killed, because he kept thinking that the Illuminati was gonna stay, but I'm like, no, if they have to fight these and they're technically like the bad guys type of thing, these guys have to go, because if not, they're gonna have to come back later. They will, in their own sense, I'm pretty sure, like in the now dubbed movie 616, but it definitely this version had to go, and I was like, okay, I know he has to die, but if he does show up, but it's
I thought his death was badass.
his
but,
death
like,
was cool.
and he got a really cool display of his power that we have not seen in the
But
show.
if they were gonna kill him like that, I just don't like that he went so fast. Like, have him don't use his
Like,
voice
right away,
automatically.
right?
Yeah, like still, if you want to blow up his head like the way they did, just do it, but do it
how-
like after a minute of fight.
Without, like, destroying her right away. Like, it was either her or him.
Well, yeah, I know that, but again, Black Bolt doesn't use like as of that moment. He didn't know what power level she is, and Black Bolt never really goes all out and uses his voice is a last resort. He never uses his voice so like
In
openly.
combat, right?
Yeah, like that's when shit hits the fan. When shit hits the fan, he that's when he uses it. He does not use it like, oh hey, this random person in mom jeans just came in. Let me destroy her right away. Like I know
What
that
are
they.
some other powers he has that he could have used to fight Wanda?
I mean, he has your typical powers and then some. Like he has matter manipulation. He has.
Ooh, that would have been cool.
He has. He's super strong. He could fly. He could even, if I remember correctly, he could shoot like little beam versions out of his like his voice, but a very diluted type of energy from his actual fork itself. He has super speed. He could do a whole bunch of stuff, and he could even go toe to toe a bit with Wanda for the most part because he could make a shield around him. Has a telepathic block type of stuff like that since his brother is a strong telepath. But
Well, so was Charles Xavier.
yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like
Also, but I mean, that's why they had him fight Captain Marvel, though, because she could do all that same stuff. She could fly. She was strong. She shot beams. They probably just wanted to have one hero do that at a time. Otherwise, it would confuse everyone.
well, that's what I'm saying. Like, oh man, this is bad.
I will say it made sense the way that he went out in terms of like getting rid of the big heavy player right away. But I too would have liked to have seen him put more of a fight up before going out.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been cool to see more of Black Bolt. But I still have hope that we'll get a good, redemption for him somewhere along the line.
Yeah, but like I said, I just wish he if he was gonna get his head blown off like that, I wish it was like after even just a minute, even 30 seconds of fight. But he literally got benched before you could even do anything.
Richards did him dirty.
Yeah, but like I don't know. I'm at a weird spot with it, but it is what it is. He was really badass when he did get to do a little bit of something, and I did love the costume. I wish that's what was in the Inhuman show, that piece of garbage. But what's it called? In terms of moving on, the next slot I had Mr. Fantastic, but more specifically John Krasinski, which actually.
How did you know?
So it worked out, and that one was good. Let's see. So 2 points there technically. Well, 3 of the free space. Nightmare, wrong.
No.
Chthon, that's more of a half point, I would say.
It's like implied because he wrote the Darkhold, though.
Yeah,
like,
that's what I'm saying.
His name, though.
They reference his name. They say he did the Darkhold, and that's more or less what was the main reason for. They did. Wong was like, when back in the day when there was this and that, when this building was made by the first demon entity Chthon.
He did say Chthon?
Yeah, he did.
Oh, I don't remember that at all. I'll have to go back and watch it.
Yeah, no, he mentioned it. So it does. It does.
Yeah, that counts then.
Yeah, but he wasn't fully mind controlling her. It was one of his creations. So
yeah.
I guess that would be more
it wasn't like he was pulling the strings. It was still Wanda who was the bad guy.
So he was indirectly. So I'll say half a point for that one. And then no negative zone. The Illuminati actually was called the Illuminati. And I was wrong about Wong. I'm surprised that they are going to.
So glad. I would have been pissed.
Well, no, I would have been pissed too.
I would have been so mad.
I was surprised since I thought that they would what's it called? Get rid of him again to give the title of Sorcerer Supreme to Doctor Strange.
He's still Sorcerer Supreme. He gave him the little bow at the end. That was great.
Yeah. So
Wong already died in the first one, and they brought him back. So there's no point in doing it again. If they kill him off in this movie, we know they're gonna bring him back.
He doesn't have the time stone anymore to bring him back.
Well, there's other ways, variants and whatnot, spells.
But All right, so, and then Miss Cap, I don't remember what yours were completely, but I know you did guess a couple of them. I know for a fact.
No, mine got blown up.
Yours got blown up?
I technically only got one.
Which one was
What
it?
was that?
That was America Chavez had a bigger role.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. Everything else was completely wrong.
Yeah, she did have a bigger role.
Yeah, and I mean, I kind of like that, but I hope they, explore her character a lot more because I know there's definitely more to her than like she can control her own powers.
Yeah.
I mean, the other one that I had on there was the end of Doctor Strange, either killed or self-sacrifice, and I don't think I could give myself a point for that. I mean, technically, he was killed a version of him, so I don't know if I should count it or not.
But think about it. Him getting killed actually saved America Chavez because he would have drained her of her powers, killing her, had he not been killed. So it wasn't really a sacrifice.
Yeah. So either way, I was nowhere near anything.
And the other version of Strange died via impale.
Oh, okay. I think I fixed the audio. Damn, I was about to stop the stream, but now after I clicked a certain button, you guys sounded really crisp and clear.
Oh my gosh.
Nice.
And now, what's it called? And now I got a comment saying that it's a lot better now. It might be because I also have to... I think I also have to turn off my mic personally whenever you guys are talking because my mic might be bouncing off.
I think that's what's picking up the audio on your end.
Yeah, but it
Although
also...
I still hear myself echoing, but...
I think that's a you problem on internet connection because now that I do hear you clearly, it was just the hertz rate that was going down. It was like muffling everything down. But now that we're back, let's see. So like I said, we each had a little bit of something, and putting all of our bingo cards together, we basically got like 90% of the movie correct. So good job, team. We said no spoilers last week, but technically we were spoiling the shit out of this movie to the audience. All right. So, yeah, but like I was saying, I was just in the theater and with Black Bolt, and I know Mr. Oyman, you said I need to get over it, but that's one of my like top 3 characters. And
nobody else likes him.
I knew he had to die, but I was like sitting in the theater and I saw him and I'm like, this is awesome, and then his mouth went away and I knew exactly what they were gonna do, and I was just sitting there. No. Wait.
Hey, they turned my boy Reed into spaghetti, and how you feel about Black Bolt is how I feel about Reed Richards, dude. He's been my favorite. Like, him and Spider-Man have been my 2 favorite Marvel characters for as long as I can remember.
Yeah, but at least he just got introduced. He didn't already had a complete bastardization beforehand.
Miles Teller.
No, not MCU. Don't bring it. That's separate. We haven't seen them bastardize them in the MCU.
That's what I mean. Like, we finally got the best, like, in my opinion, the best casting we've had for the character yet. Yeah, I know he was the popular fan cast, but he legitimately is a good fit for the character, and I do feel like we will get him as the 616 Reed, but we'll see. Who knows?
Damn, now it bums me, though, that the audio is going to be bad for the first half. Hopefully on the Audacity version, because I am recording this again to put it up on like Spotify and such. Hopefully that version sounds better. Because if so, sorry audience for a terrible sounding first half of the show. But at least it wasn't on the main at the main event. At least it was on the Moon Knight, which again was awesome, but not the nitty gritty of this episode. So moving on.
Yeah.
All right. There's quite a lot to unpack here. Well, let's start it off simple. Now that we've gotten the cards out of the way, I'll let you 3 go first. I'll let you, Mr. Oyman, choose the order and see what are y'all's overall opinions of this movie. Like, get a little bit in depth, but you don't want to like start talking full-blown plot and such like that quite yet. Just kind of make it semi-brief and see.
Overall thoughts?
Yeah, like overall thoughts, how you had thought like the visuals looked, how the story pace, the side characters, stuff like that. Kind of like what I did when I reviewed it for the channel. Something similar, just but y'all's input on it.
All right. How about JT? You go first this time.
Yeah, so I have to admit this movie is in my top 15 or top 10 within all the MC movies. I think Sam Murray does a great job at the story. I thought the story was well paced, was well thought out. The visuals was amazing, and I think I have to agree with Miss Cap. America Chavez had a big and important role in the movie, and she delivered. Scarlet Witch, whew, I mean, the emotional journey that we had gone through this movie was crazy, and I enjoyed every minute of it. The side characters were amazing. One was amazing. The overall direction of like the horror elements within this movie was fantastic. And if you guys are listening and you have kids, do not let them watch this movie because it has a lot of jump scares and horror elements that might give your kids
Yes.
nightmares. Just for forewarning.
A lot of death.
Mhm.
All right. Well, Miss Cap, how about you? What did you think of Multiverse of Madness?
No, I thoroughly enjoyed this movie more than I thought I would, actually. I kind of thought I was going to be jumping in this movie kind of not knowing much, even though I've seen, like, all the stuff you need to see it before going to see it. But I was thoroughly surprised at the direction it was going. Definitely, I'm not a big horror fan. And so the horror element actually kind of gave the movie its, like,
Own identity?
uniqueness. Yes. As a person who obviously doesn't really like horror and stuff like that, it kind of was like, it didn't, throw me off. It was like, this has a purpose, But other than that, honestly, I enjoyed, the new characters coming in, like, with America Chavez and, the direction of the older characters like Wanda and Doctor Strange. Honestly, it was not just a Doctor Strange movie, it was a Wanda and Doctor Strange movie.
Mm.
Like, it was their, they shared enough screen time and enough chemistry together that, like, it's both of their movies.
Yeah.
And
they're
honestly,
equal.
it was for the better.
Mhm.
And I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I can't wait to go more in depth. But overall, I definitely was, like, very enjoyable.
All right.
And what about you, Mr.
Tex-Mex
Woodman?
Morty, I know you already gave your thoughts on your little video a little earlier, but for those who might not have watched it, what were your overall thoughts on the movie?
I thought it was overall a fantastic movie. One thing I didn't mention in the review that I will get mentioned here is the fact that I was a bit worried at first when I started seeing some of the early reactions to this movie saying that it was
I avoided them.
Raimi for better or for worse. But here's the deal. That worry actually came true,
Yeah.
but it shouldn't have been a worry to begin with. I just didn't think that the typical Sam Raimi, very campy B-horror movie type feel would have worked for the MCU. I thought that type of style would have, like, completely felt
Clashed.
terrible and clashed in this overall universe. But when I finished watching it, I was like, holy cow, somehow he made it a Raimi movie, and it actually fit the MCU really, really well. If anything, it made it even better because, like Miss Cap said, it gave us a side of the MCU that made it feel fresh and unique. And when there's a lot of people who I never agreed with this sentiment because I don't think Winter Soldier and Guardians of the Galaxy are interchangeable and they're all the same. They all feel different genres. The only thing that feels similar in the MCU is that they have
Avengers.
an overall underlying, like, quip one-liner type of jokes to them, and they're a little bit jokey, but that's not necessarily a style. That's just one aspect of it. But this one actually didn't have a lot of jokes. It had a few sprinkled here and there, but it was it was dark, but it just, I loved it. I loved it. It showed us MCU horror that I didn't think we were gonna see and that I didn't know we needed. But yeah, if you definitely want to hear my thoughts completely, I get a little bit more in depth in the review I put out. So go ahead and check that video. And of course, if you like what you're hearing and all that, please hit that like and subscribe button. Shameless plug, but there you go. But what's it called? Definitely would love the audience to hear what your takes are, Mr. Oyman.
Okay, so I'm definitely coming at this movie from a little bit differently than most people who are going to watch this, because not only am I a huge Doctor Strange fan, I have been reading a lot of the comics, but since his first movie came out, I always thought that the character had more potential than what the first movie basically delivered on. Now, also, I am a huge Sam Raimi fan, huge Evil Dead, Army of Darkness, Drag Me to Hell fan. And when I initially heard that Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness would be a horror, more of a horror movie, like for Marvel anyway, I was like, okay, that's kind of interesting. And then when they announced Sam Raimi, I initially geeked out because I was like, okay, he would be a perfect fit for Doctor Strange, especially if Marvel did allow him to bring his kind of crazy style that he brought to the Evil Dead films to this, because I feel like that and Doctor Strange would be a great fit. But I never thought they would actually do it. As the movie was getting closer to coming out, a lot of rumors were coming out about all the different cameos and how it might be rival Endgame in terms of scope. I was getting a little worried, especially once I heard the runtime was only 2 hours. I was like, well, for everything I'm hearing about this film, I feel like that's just going to kind of lose its way. And I had only heard one reaction before seeing the movie, and that reaction was just one guy saying, "Oh, it sucked. What a mess." And I was like, "Ah, damn." That kind of lowered my expectations a bit. But when I finally saw this film, holy shit, this is one of the best films I've ever seen for me personally. I loved it. It was like easily top 3 MCU for me.
You just screamed so loud that your audio went out.
Loved it.
It was
great.
Glad that.
Sorry for everyone's ears.
Well, no, that's the thing.
I felt like it was made for me specifically. No one else. I mean, if anyone else liked it, great. But I thought that, oh man, it fired off on all cylinders. There was only one aspect of this movie that I was let down by. Can anyone guess what that might be?
I don't know.
Yes. Someone throw out something.
I don't know. I know you so well, but I can't think of what this, especially since I haven't heard you. I know me and you have talked about it more than we have with Miss Cap and JT, but off the air. But I can't think of what let you down. What was
only
it?
Aspect of this movie that could have made it even better was the music by Danny Elfman. I thought it was okay. I thought it served its purpose. I did not think it stood out at all. I thought that, given that this is the same composer of the iconic Batman Tim Burton theme, as well as Sam Raimi's own Spider-Man trilogy, I thought he would have brought his A game here. And unfortunately, when I listened to the music, it just kind of sounds like it's all over the place, which is fitting for a movie called Multiverse of Madness. And again, it sort of is blended into the background of the scenes during the film, and it never stood out to me at any point, other than, of course, his little composition for the music fight between the two Stranges. Other than that, I was pretty let down by Danny Elfman's score.
I'm surprised to hear you say that. Like, the main thing that people do love in this divisive movie is the score itself. I actually thought, like what you said, me personally, I do like it when I have a memorable score like the Batman theme in the Pattinson movie, or Spider-Man.
Even the first Doctor Strange had great music in it. Like, when you watch the movie, the music really stands out. I did not think it did at all here.
Yeah, but see,
Even
I actually like it when it's not distracting though. Like this one, I felt like it hit a good balance. It might have not been as memorable, but I felt like it did enhance it enhanced the scenes a lot. Like a lot of the horror stuff worked because of the music. A lot of it, but yeah, like you said, it didn't have like any standouts per se. But I felt like it was actually a really good score, personally.
But I mean, again, that doesn't even bring down my overall Like, that's just something where if the score was more memorable to me, then it would have made the movie even better than it already was for me, and I fucking love it. It's like easily top 3 MCU movie for me. I know not everyone's going to agree with it. I like actually that Marvel is starting to let their directors have a little bit more say in how the movie is made, and how lately a lot of their films have been feeling pretty different from each other for the most part. But this one, I just hope they let Raimi come back and do a third one, but we all know how Raimi is with third entries of stuff, so who knows.
Yeah, don't
Yeah.
bring him in.
Spider-Man 3. Mm-hmm.
Army of Darkness was a little bit of a different take than the first 2 films, but I think if he were able to do essentially what he did here, just make it a story about Doctor Strange, the sequel would probably involve Clea too, because she's a pretty big character in the comics. But I just loved what he did here. It was crazy as hell. There were so many Evil Dead references, which doesn't make it a good film. It just made it, like, I thought it just fit. Like, it was something where it could have easily fallen apart and not been a good fit, the tone of Sam Raimi films and a Marvel movie, but he somehow did it. And I think that was because he worked really closely with Feige on this one. A lot of people were disappointed about the lack of multiverse stuff in it, and I understand that criticism, but after seeing Everything Everywhere All at Once and how that really explored the vast type of multiverse you can do, I like that this was more contained and was just focused on Wanda and Strange mostly.
See, but you could have done a little
Yeah.
bit of both if you made it like longer than
Well,
an hour.
they haven't
50
gotten rid of
minutes.
the multiverse. It's coming back.
Oh yeah. No, but before we get to that,
they can still do it.
well, they're going to the direction they're going to is
That little
definitely
tease we got with America Chavez was great. I love that.
Yeah.
But moving on from that, I will have to give a certain guy his flowers, because he did get something right, or at least I believe he's onto something. Last week, JT's when we were talking about the Fantastic Four losing their director, Mr. JT said, "Bring on John Krasinski, make him be Mr. Fantastic." And you know what? He's done movies before as a director, and they seem to be pretty well received. And there's a spot open for the Fantastic Four, so I feel like Marvel is gonna do, obviously, since they did get him as Mr. Fantastic. It's only a matter of time before we get that announcement that they're gonna get a 2-for-1 with Mr. Krasinski. What do you guys think?
Let's go! I called it.
Ah.
I called it.
Wait, is this official?
No, I'm saying it's only a
No.
matter of time. But
Oh! I thought you were saying they just announced this.
no, I said it's a matter of time. But it's a clear. It's
It'd be
too
a good
coincidental.
fit.
It's too coincidental that they're having him debut in the MCU as Reed Richards along the same week, basically, that Fantastic Four lost its director. I mean, that's as close as to wink, wink, nudge, nudge that they could possibly get. I think they're
We
just
do have to be careful, though. We have to be careful as fans, because as fans, we tend to hype stuff up and sometimes successfully will it into existence, like Krasinski as Reed or Toby and Andrew coming back. But that we can't be disappointed or mad if Marvel doesn't decide to have him come back as Reed Richards, and they do get a different director to direct a different cast, Reed, for the Fantastic Four movie. If that happens, everyone's going to automatically be like, "Oh, you didn't give us what we wanted." But it's like, I gave them Krasinski as Reed. Nobody was expecting that to actually happen, and it did.
But they wouldn't get him
But you're
just
probably
for
right.
they wouldn't get him just for one little part. Honestly, it looks like
You
all
never
of
know.
but it looks like all the versions of the Illuminati and such. It sounds like there's certain constants. I know Loki and No Way Home kind of did it differently. No Way Home though was on a technicality because they were gonna bring back other Spider-Man. You
Yeah.
know, it would have completely like been killed off by the audience if it wasn't Toby and Andrew. So by
But I mean,
default,
even Loki showed different.
well, yeah, but
Tom
also
Hiddleston variants.
Loki's kind of, it's a Disney Plus show. They don't treat him the same way as the movies quite yet. They're getting there, but when you think about
Right.
it, all the
Yeah,
Illuminati
obviously.
members were people that were already in the MCU before. Like Captain Carter could have been someone other than Haley Atwell, but they got her back. Monica Rambeau
Same
or
with Maria Rambeau.
Maria Rambeau, it could have been another actress, but they got her back. Xavier, they brought back Xavier as, I mean, as good as James McAvoy was in those prequel ones. Everybody, when they think Professor X
Yeah.
live
Yeah.
action, they think
Patrick
Patrick
Stewart's
Stewart.
iconic.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, it's Black Bolt was the same guy from the Inhumans. So it looks like there's going to be certain key players that they're not going to change. Obviously, there's some weird, like for story reasons, they brought No Way Home, Andrew Garfield, and Toby. And for the same story reasons to give them a love interest and all that, they brought in Sylvie to Loki and all those. Although I will say that old classic Loki, that he was pretty awesome. I did like what they did there.
Yeah, old man Loki.
Yeah, he was fantastic.
Richard E. Grant. Oh man, he killed it.
But anyway, so let's go ahead and give a round of applause to JT for now. If he ends up being completely wrong, we'll take our flowers back. And
that would be the best way to get people on board for another Fantastic Four movie, is bring Krasinski as not just acting in it, but directing it also. I think a lot of people would have a more hope in it, because he did have 2 bangers back to back with the Fireplace films, and I think he honestly, given like that those movies are pretty intense but have sci-fi elements and family elements, like that's kind of what the Fantastic Four needs, and I think he can bring that.
Well, and I think he's been pretty well received in that Amazon show. Jack Reacher. Yeah, okay, yeah, it was Jack Reacher. Jack Ryan, there you go, not Reacher.
Jack Ryan, yeah, I was mixed up.
Too many Spy Jacks. It gets hard to keep track of.
Too many Jacks. Too many Jacks.
But anyway, so let's get back on track with the movie. Of course, so we start off with we hit this movie like running off, like flying right off the ground. It's like we're in the middle of an action scene.
They jump off the ground onto more ground.
And they introduce us to America Chavez pretty early on. Oh, I will say though, before we get any further, in my review I do mention I'm glad, America Chavez did have a bigger role, but honestly I felt like she was a bit just of a living MacGuffin. Like they could have replaced her with like a spell from the Darkhold or something, and it would have been pretty similar. Like, haha, I tore a page off the Darkhold, now you can't do this spell. And
but now they have a character they can put in Young Avengers, and she now has an origin because she was the MacGuffin for it.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. In this movie in particular, it feels like
writing wise.
Yeah, it felt kind of like she was unnecessary.
It was clearly a plot device, like very clearly that's why they included her. But
I feel like
the actress did a pretty good job.
No, yeah, that's
never really.
And I mentioned that on the review is the fact that she actually did a good job and held her own against or alongside with Benedict Cumberbatch. But I just feel like, due to her being a living MacGuffin, they focused more on that aspect than actually giving her a lot to work with. I felt like she was just kind of there to, again, she could have been some sort of relic that Doctor Strange had.
It was honestly better than I was expecting her. I'll be honest. When I heard she was in the movie, I was expecting her to be even less of a character and more. So I was actually pretty much okay with what she got. So yes. Yeah, definitely been better.
Yeah, I will agree. Yeah, she was better than I was hoping, because I really don't care for her in the comics. She never caught my interest, and
they definitely changed her character a lot from the comic, but I thought it fit fine to this film.
But anyway, so we get back to them running from this nameless creature, because I don't think we even got a name for that thing. The shoelace monster creature.
Raimi tree monster. Oh wait.
It did look, I was about to be like, oh, Raimi, what are you doing? Because
bringing her up, grabbing her legs and arms.
Yeah, it gave me Evil Dead vibes. But so then we get Defender Strange. He's willing to kill her, which is pretty crappy in my opinion. And what's it called? But he gets interrupted, and they both get teleported onto the other dimension, which is our normal dimension, but Doctor Strange thinks it is a dream. Then what happens after that?
He wakes up.
He wakes up. Yeah, I know that.
The
wedding.
He goes to a wedding. Christine promised a wedding.
Yeah. So between the first scene and I noticed it mainly when they were fighting, and I'm gonna call him Shumagorath or Shino, I guess, because he's Gargantos. He's only
Yeah, not Shumagorath.
No. Well, I mean, he looks like him. If the duck quacks.
So does Gargantos. And Gargantos is literally just a giant monster.
Gargantos looks
not like an interdimensional.
Gargantos only has a tentacles and one eye, but he looks more like a normal squid octopus than than this guy did.
Yes,
This guy
right.
looks straight
He
up.
was basically Gargantos, but they gave him more of Shumagorath's design and used
There you
that
go.
to like sell the movie to characters who or people who know who that character is.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But anyways, so was I the only one that kind of picked up that, especially during that Gargantua scene, that this movie looks like they were making it with like 3D in mind or something? Because some of those
Oh,
scenes were
definitely.
like very like, whoa, he's reaching out for the front of the screen.
A lot of that is just Sam Raimi's direction.
It was very
He's
bright.
like- he
That's
always
for
does that. Even in Spider-Man, there was a lot of like out at your face. But yeah, they definitely did add a lot of this with 3D in mind too, which is why I'm going back tomorrow in 3D.
Yeah, but I thought 3D was dead.
Nah, not for this movie. The first Doctor Strange was like one of the best 3D experiences. You remember that? 15
Oh
minutes.
yeah, oh yeah. No, that was crazy. But yeah, no. This scene actually with Gargantuous and such, that's where I really enjoyed a lot of, because, I don't know, it felt like it reminded me of the shots and the color scheme and all that of the Spider-Man 2000s movie, and while still being a Doctor Strange movie. So I don't know, it really piqued my interest because I have a soft spot for those Spider-Man movies. Was I the only one that felt that way, or did you guys as well?
It's kind of climbing up the side of the building.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really cool.
And then, of course, so he meets America Chavez, and they start going over, and that's when they mention No Way Home, because they're talking at a diner, and she's over there eating pizza, because apparently she has to eat pizza everywhere she goes. And then they get taken to Defender Strange's dead body. And then basically that just leads us to him eventually going to go meet Wanda, which I personally stayed away from any trailer that wasn't the first official 2 trailers,
First
and that's
2.
it.
Yeah.
And for the most part, they actually
Very hard.
did a very good job at not really revealing the fact that Wanda is like it, based on where we
A
last saw
straight
her.
up villain.
Yeah, last
Villain,
time
yeah.
where we saw her, she was going down a dark path, and it was a possibility on my mind, but I didn't think they would
They
actually.
left it open to either way. It could have gone either way.
Yeah, and
But I didn't. But I almost didn't think Disney would have the balls to make her a straight up villain after how popular WandaVision was.
exactly, that's where I
I'm
was
glad they
at.
did.
I was like, I was welcoming this change because it seemed like it would be very interesting, and it was. But I didn't think they would actually do it. I'm like, you crazy sons of bitch, you actually did it.
And they
But
made her dark too, much more than I would have expected.
oh yeah, but were y'all expecting that, or was that kind of spoiled through? Because I know that right after we watched this on Thursday preview night in IMAX, the next day when I was working out, I looked up at the TV screen at the gym, and they were playing a TV spot for it, and that one did show Captain Carter's shield. It showed Wanda being bad and killing a bunch of people at the temple. I was like, oh shit, I'm glad I watched this on opening night, because if not, well, there goes the surprises. But were y'all expecting
there's
this?
that shot in one of the trailers where like Wong and Wanda are fighting side by side when they first encounter those demons. But if you watch the movie, it's a totally different, plays out differently than you would have expected.
Oh yeah, the first trailers were very misdirecting because it looked like the Illuminati was going to be bad. It looks like
Zombie Strange. was
Zombie
gonna be
Strange.
bad.
I thought he was going to be the bad guy, and it actually turned out to be so much cooler than that. It was
Yeah.
that part
Yeah.
was it was next level for me on there. But were y'all expecting Wanda to be the bad guy? I'll let you go first, JT.
You know, like based upon my Bender card, I really thought that Wanda was going to rescue her kids because remember in WandaVision, like her kids were kind of, let go and everything. So I really thought that she was going to rescue her kids and everyone's going to be happy. But I think like the first 2 trailers, showed her being the Scarlet Witch and causing chaos. I was like, okay, but like I think with the Scarlet Witch thing, in Wanda, I think I really think that this was a critical part of her character development because after after all she did in the movie, she finally came to the realization that hey, I might not ever see my kid again, but I know that there is a multiverse where my kids are safe. My kids are having a great time with with me in a human form, so to speak, not this like, demented form that I'm in now. But you know, I I didn't believe that she was actually become like the villain of the movie. I thought that she and Strange was going to work together to kind of do some like heroic things, but I didn't expect her to be the villain of this movie. So
Yeah, yeah. What about you, Miss Cap? Was that like a surprise for you, or were you spoiled by either the trailers, or were you like, yeah, I could see that happening before the movie came out?
You know, it actually did come as a surprise. I wasn't really expecting her to be like they're going to be, having to go against her. I knew she probably would be opposed, like an opposition, but I didn't think that she would be like the full blown like villain. Like she's the reason all this is happening. Uh, but overall, her becoming the villain, I think, kind of needed to happen because if you really look at her, look at the past movies and her own show, you could see how she's just become like all her trauma and all her past is coming back to her, and she's trying to move through, but no one wants to like help her get through that. So she's always on her own. And so I kind of saw it coming, but I didn't think it was going to happen so soon.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, it was definitely her finally, like, she keeps living a life of pain, and now that she finally has something that she knows for sure is going to make her more, like, let's say, complete with her kids, she's definitely acting out of desperation.
Yes.
Because she wants to cling on. Like, she finally accepted Vision's gone and all that in WandaVision, but she wasn't willing to accept that her kids were gone. That was like the straw that broke the camel's back for her.
Yeah.
So she did go down darker avenues to go see the Darkhold and all that, and that's what they kind of, I feel like they didn't do it. Well, it wouldn't have worked as a surprise if they kind of alluded it a bit more, but there is definitely some missing gaps here and there between her doing that and up to right here, because you feel like if you didn't catch that after credit scene of WandaVision for some odd reason, because you're a weirdo who doesn't stay after the credits, you would be completely lost. You'd be like, hey, what the heck's going on?
How did this happen?
She was technically kind of good. I mean, she did some horrible stuff in Westview. Was it called Westview? And
Yep.
But definitely wasn't warranted to the escalation that it did here. So I feel like there could have been a little bit more of a lead into that, but it did work effectively to just have that rug pulled under your feet so fast, though. But that led us. Oh, go ahead, Mr. Oyman.
Oh no, you go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to lead on to the next scene, so I'd rather you go and finish your thoughts.
I just wanted to say, like, I thought that they would maybe have her be, like, obviously troubled and starting to turn to the dark side, so to speak, and Doctor Strange would be like a doctor and help her, and she would be kind of trying to fight the power of the Darkhold. So it definitely did catch me off guard to have her be a villain straight from the get-go, and essentially be a horror movie villain throughout the movie. That really surprised me. Like, but of course they do have her redeem herself at the very end in a way that narratively made sense, and does open the door for like another version of Wanda to come back eventually because of how popular the character is. Obviously she'll be back somehow, but I do think our main 616 Wanda is.
Nah, if you don't, I'll go by the age rule of cinema. If you don't see a body, they ain't dead. But anyway,
I think she's done.
Well, personally, I wish she would be done because I do love Elizabeth
That makes
Olsen.
sense.
I do like her character, Scarlet Witch, but I feel like they're retreading on old grounds at this point. Age of Ultron, she was bad, and then she's good. Now she's bad, and then she's good. Yeah, I feel like.
So I think they need to have her stay bad or
Yeah.
stay dead.
Yeah,
Unless
I would.
It's a different version of her from another universe.
But we know they're not going to do that. But I don't know where they're going to take the character from here. Because I feel like her arc has been basically done. Like this was a good conclusion, even though she was the bad guy. But me personally, when I thought they were gonna do is I thought they were gonna play it very safe in a early Marvel way, where she was gonna show up and he was gonna need her help. But since the whole Westview happened and it showed that she's not in control of her powers, I thought he was gonna kind of like mentor her towards learning how to use her power so that she could be an asset at the end of this movie. But I thought
Instead,
they were gonna,
that was America Chavez.
Yeah. I thought they were gonna play it safe like that, and I'm totally glad they didn't. Because moving on to our next scene, that's when the horror aspects happened, and it was just awesome. Like she goes over to Doctor Strange in his temple, and she starts single-handedly just destroying the place up, and then she gets into there and goes into like this mirror dimension type stuff, and after that it's just full like Raimi horror.
Full Sam Raimi.
Yeah. So why don't you discuss a little bit of, since you're more in touch with the Sam Raimi horror aspect, I'll let you take over for this part, Mr. Oyman, before we move on to the next scene. How did you feel about this specific scene?
Okay, I'll try to be brief. So yeah, there were obviously a lot of. This is basically the point in the movie where I knew that no matter what could happen throughout the rest of the film, I was already loving it. There were a lot of callbacks to Evil Dead with the way her hand like turned to liquid into the mirror and her crawling out like a fucking grudge monster out of the gong, and all the close-ups on eyes and just the way the camera was swinging around. There's a lot of Evil Dead callbacks to his directing style throughout not just this scene but the whole movie. But I think this was where the film was basically meeting my expectations of making taking a Doctor Strange movie and making it a horror film, even if it's sort of a light horror film, but it was horror in nature. Like the way that everything happened in this film, it was a little bit of a goofy comic type of horror, but horror nonetheless.
Okay, great words. So definitely, we did, like you said, we did see a bunch of horror aspects to it. It was probably as close as we're gonna get to a Marvel horror movie, honestly. But then after that, we get Wanda trying to take America Chavez, and it activates her powers, and they get her. Doctor Strange tackles her, and that's where you see like the Living Tribunal. I think you see other stuff like I'm pretty sure that cartoon world was Spider-Ham's world just because of the like type of music that was playing in the background, but who knows?
Wouldn't they be animals then?
Maybe.
He comes from a planet that's all animals.
Yeah, but the way I see it is that who knows? Because I was gonna say
cartoony to me.
I feel like they
like comic book
to them they're kind of aware that it's different, but I feel like everything to them technically is looking the like real life would be. Even if they're an animated, I feel like they would feel like this is what I normally would look like here.
Yeah, like they would perceive everything as normal, not animated.
To us,
rendered artist world.
Yeah. To us, it looks animated. To them, it would be another dimension that's similar to their own, just with different aspects to it. But I don't know. We just saw a bunch of stuff. I was surprised we didn't see like a full blown Into the Spider-Verse type of like filter, because I feel like they're just itching with this movie to start bringing in stuff like, well, yeah, but Sony borrows shit all the time. I mean, they took Vulture to that Morbius, which this whole movie could have been avoided if Morbius had shown up to save the damn day. But of course, they denied such greatness to happen. Maybe he's the one who will stop all the bad stuff that's coming this way that we'll get to. But
the Spider-Man Noir world.
Yeah, that one for sure. I'm pretty sure it was.
Paint Horn was my favorite though. I love the paint and the Savage Land.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was the Savage Land, and I want to see where they go from there. That's pretty cool. But we get over to the next realm where, again, I had this gripe with Mr. Oyman that I've talked to him. Did any of y'all feel a little bit underwhelmed that we only got to, other than that brief little like chop of different dimensions, we only got to see stay in like 2 or 3 dimensions for more than like 4 minutes. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. But for a movie called The Multiverse of Madness, I was expecting a
I
little
didn't
bit
have
more.
a problem with it. I was fine. It served its purpose.
Thought there would be more.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I gotta go with
add at least 1 or 2 more and add 20 minutes to the screen time. I mean, Endgame and No Way Home were like 3 hours each. Well, No Way Home was close to it. I'm pretty
Two
sure.
and a half.
I'm pretty sure
No Way Home
that
was like 2 hours and 28 minutes.
I'm pretty
without
sure
credits.
the audience would have been okay with 20 extra minutes to this movie. Honestly,
Yeah, I can agree
Yeah.
with that. 20 extra minutes wouldn't have hurt, but I thought the pacing and everything worked as is. I didn't need 20 more minutes, but I would have liked 20 more minutes.
But what's it called? So
Or 10
we
or
get
whatever.
to this other dimension where they go and look for the Doctor Strange of this world, and it turns out that he died in the battle with Thanos, or at least that's what it perceives to be. But then that leads us to our main big reveal, the moment that just completely drops like the hammer down on the MCU, and that is with the introduction of the Illuminati. And it's not so much of what they are as much as like what they were talking about that actually got me just sitting down and being like, oh shit, this is it. I looked over at Mr. Oyman. He probably wasn't looking at me, but I finally got to ditch my old hobo crazy man under the bridge with the end is nigh outfit to finally have people.
You're right, Puta.
Yeah, we got our introduction to the incursions through the actually called the incursions through John Krasinski saying that if if somebody spends too much time and messes around too much in one reality that they're not from, it could cause an incursion. And that is where I've been saying like a madman, this is where it's going to go, and I am super stoked, not just because I personally wanted them to go there, but because Jonathan Hickman's run that starts with the Fantastic Four and ends with Secret Wars is just a wild ride, and everything that happens in between in the Avengers and New Avengers, that New Avengers does involve the Illuminati heavily. We're in for a wild, crazy ride. Like I don't even know how they're gonna pull this off. I know they will because I said the same thing before Civil War. I'm like, man, I don't know how they're gonna make it better than Avengers 2012, and then Civil War happened, and I'm like, oh, I don't know how they're gonna top Civil War, and then Infinity War and Endgame,
Infinity War.
and I'm like,
And no
okay,
topic from there. They
I'm
said
like-
they had the X-Men before, Nova, and Inhumans, as well as our main Avengers. Like you can bring all of it together and actually have it. It'll have to be at least 2 movies, at least.
oh yeah, but that's the thing though. But Secret Wars is just it's so ambitious. It's not just on character count that's ambitious. The plot of it is so complex and so like out there that it makes the Infinity Gauntlet look very simple and basic in comparison.
You would have to watch everything Marvel in order to follow a Secret Wars movie, I feel.
Well, yeah, and just the fact that
Be a hard
there's
sell.
just the fact that like, and they even mentioned it in this, and they actually mentioned it in Loki with the multiversal war. Just the fact that you have different universes and heroes that are in both universes. So we're gonna get 2 versions of each hero basically at a given time, and all these different universes are all collapsing and fighting onto like Thunderdome style. There could only be one. So I know they will pull it off, but I just don't know how, like visually, my mind can't wrap around how that's gonna do. I know where they're going. I don't know how they're gonna get there, and that's what Slucius crapped on me and Mr. Oyman while we were discussing this movie a lot. But
You know what?
about the movie overall, but he's like, I'm not excited for the next 10 years of Marvel, this and that, because he wasn't understanding. He wasn't understanding
it's
about
fine.
the incursions.
He's not the
and stuff.
only one. He's definitely not alone. A lot of people are like, nah, I'm done with this.
Well, yeah,
It's
but
like, you know they're going to keep coming back even though they say they're done.
yeah, but the fact that some of this is going over people's head is just, this movie, No Way Home kind of leaned me forward, but after in Endgame, I was like, none of these projects truly excite me other than this one in particular, but this was when it was a different movie. But I wasn't too hyped after like what we got last year, and you could attest to this, Mr. Oyman. I was not very excited of the MCU. I was actually starting to get a little bit fatigued due to I didn't like the characters.
They had 9 projects last year.
Yeah,
One year alone, 9 projects.
And it wasn't just the fatigue about the amount of projects. If I was still in Endgame phase prior to that and all that, I would have been excited. But it's just the stories they were telling and the what was going on just wasn't catching me the same way. But this movie introducing this completely changed that. It brought me back into the game right when I was about to go out. You pull me back in.
This was an important one to see if it would either like miss the mark or actually completely hit it. I was honestly half expecting it to kind of miss the mark and be a missed potential, if you will. Like I was very surprised that it ended up being as good as it was. Well, but I can also see why not everyone would like it. And it's not going to appeal to everyone.
Well, a lot of the hate from this comes from the fact that they turned Wanda bad, and it's not so much as that was a bad decision. It's just something that people didn't want to see.
Like the lack of multiverse stuff too, and the Illuminati. That a lot of people really disliked the movie because of that. Wasn't enough. I thought it was. It was more than I was expecting.
Oh, it was enough for me. I just wish they handled the Illuminati a little bit better. But the fact that they're bringing in Secret Wars, it makes me realize why they're introducing a bunch of different aspects. Like, not only was Secret Wars kind of mentioned here, but the Darkhold and all the supernatural stuff that's coming the way. I really do think we're going to get something like, maybe not Midnight Suns, but very similar to where you have the supernatural aspect, and you're going to have the Darkhold bring like Ghost Rider and all that into play, and they're going to need like various different aspects of the MCU, not just the Avengers, not just the Illuminati, not just like the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, Shang-Chi. Introduce all these aspects because you're going to need a lot to do Secret Wars. Like, it is. Again, I cannot state enough.
Let me ask you something real quick regarding Secret Wars. Do you think they would be able to like adopt every single different genre that they're doing with all these future projects, right? Do you think they would be able to combine the supernatural with the fantasy and the horror aspects, like all of it? Do you think that they would be able to successfully do it in Secret Wars without it feeling too rushed?
2 movies, 100%. And they need only one thing, similar to why 2014, even though they changed the characters of the Guardians, you know that I was on the fence that they were MCU them, and they did for the most part, but they did one thing right that helped keep them kind of feel more in line with the comics that I love, was bring in Dan Abnett, and he's the writer of the better run of Guardians of the Galaxy. So all Marvel has to do right now is pull that again, but instead of it being Dan Abnett, obviously, get in Jonathan Hickman. He's the only, like, the way that guy works when he writes his comics, and I've seen like interviews and such like that, it is just, the way that guy works is on a different level, and that's why his stories ranged from like 2010 all the way up to like 2015, 3 or 4 different franchises basically going on at once, all leading to one thing. That was a huge event, and that guy pulled it off because just the way he works, I think he writes his story starting with the ending first. He thinks of where he wants to be, then he goes directly to the beginning again. Sprinkles here is like, doesn't fully fledge the beginning, if I remember correctly, but he works basically back, a little bit forward, right in the middle, and then goes back to the beginning and starts connecting everything together. Well, I don't even know how that guy works, but the fact that
I'm gonna have to check this out.
Yeah, the fact that he made a cohesive story that was just epic in scale, and it went on for like 4 or 5 years, is just, they need that guy to be consulting on board, because it's obviously they're going to take a lot of inspiration from him, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Fantastic Four movie is based around him, which leads me to my next point. Other than the incursions, there was another big reveal, and this is what Hickman's run relates to a lot, is they're rebalancing the scales or rewriting the scales of power in the MCU if you look at it. And one of them being Franklin Richards is technically in the MCU now, and that is, woof, that guy is OP as hell. That guy is god tier level. Like, only one that's beneath him technically is probably like the one above all, or the only one above him is like Living Tribunal, one above all type of people. But yeah, because Reed comes out and says, "Hey, I got 2 kids," or does he say 2 kids or just I got kids?
I think he just said he has kids. I don't know if he.
Yeah, he just says he has kids.
Okay, but either way, he in the comics he has 2 kids, Valeria and Franklin Richards, and Franklin Richards literally he could create pocket dimensions inside of himself, and I think that's gonna play into or not inside of himself. He could create pocket dimensions with his bare hands, and just like if you were to go inside those little dimensions that he creates, there's full-blown universes in there. So I think that's going to come into play with Secret Wars, and I think part 1 is going to be like the incursions and the end, kind of like Infinity War ended with the snap. I have a feeling Secret Wars is going to end like Secret Wars number 0, where it's down to the last 2 universes, and they both fail to kind of destroy each other, so they both collide, and everything just goes black. And then I think that's how they're probably going to end this one. And the second part is going to be either Franklin or Kang, or one of those is going to create the one dimension, because they're trying to take it back to basics and just have one main dimension instead of having all this multiverse, because it gets complicated, and I bet it's a headache to keep up with all the writers and such. So I think part 2 of Secret Wars is going to be basically what God Doom did in the comic run, but they're probably going to change it to either Franklin or Kang is where I see them going. But
Let me ask you this: if you think that they do adopt the overall story of Hickman's comic run for the movie, but change, like you said, instead of Doom it'd be Kang. What if they did, instead of Franklin Richards in the Fantastic Four, are there any other characters in the MCU that could still fit that part of the story?
Unless they introduce a Beyonder, not really. They haven't had a character that is capable of doing that other than technically Wanda with
Yeah, I was gonna say, what if they bring Wanda in that way?
But
and use Magneto instead of Reed Richards as like the familial thing.
But like,
I don't know if that would work though.
But like Wanda, even what she did on Westview is like child's play compared to what would require to do what happens in Secret Wars.
She's already, hard to redeem herself now. She's already killed a shitload of people now.
Yeah. I mean, but other than Franklin Richards and stuff, they did also kind of low-key did do my boy Black Bolt justice, and because when they first introduced Captain Marvel and they were like, oh, she's the most powerful in the MCU, I'm like, that's not how it works normally, but whatever. And I'm like, so does that mean Black Bolt's going to get nerfed? Because he's usually more powerful than her, but they kept bringing him in as like their ace in the hole the whole time. Anytime they needed shit done, they're like, hey, Black Bolt, come over here. So I thought that was bad. Yeah, I just had to put that part in because I was so happy about that. But getting back to the movie, so she goes in and basically destroys the whole Illuminati, like in a matter of 1 or 2 minutes. And, how did y'all feel about that? We'll let you go first, Miss Cap.
I was quite shocked to begin with. I was not expecting that at all. I also wasn't expecting Captain Carter to actually, when it got started, to actually last that long. But yeah, no, that was a big shock to me. I was not expecting that. I was like, oh, okay, this is happening. And I could not take my eyes off the screen.
Yeah, no, I agree with you with the Captain Carter part. Like, but I know why they did it. They did it because if she actually engaged first with any of the like Black Bolts or the Captain Marvels, she technically would have lost. So they had to get some of them out of the way first. Not saying that she didn't stand a chance to actually kill him, but I feel like both Black Bolt and Captain Marvel, if they weren't at her at the same time and they didn't get those guys out of the table, they probably would have had she probably wouldn't have won that fight. So I see why they saved it for
Captain Marvel. I did completely. No, Captain Marvel. I completely agree. Like waiting, like being the last, kind of be taken out. Second to last, really, if you count. Professor
Xavier.
X. But other than that, like, I still was like, this is very interesting. And you can see how powerful Wanda really is, or how she can be. And honestly, that realization of her powers, like there is more to her than what really meets the eye of what has been shown so far throughout the movies.
And what did you think about the brutality, Mr. JT?
I loved it. The whole fight scene with the Illuminati versus the Scarlet Witch was brutal. Especially Captain Carter and how Wanda just threw her shield and she was basically cut in half with the blood dripping from the shield, and also how when Captain Marvel was fighting Scarlet Witch, like Scarlet drained some of her power, so couldn't fully recover from the statue falling on her. I mean, it was brutal, and also like the way that that Scarlet Witch went to Xavier's mind and killed him, in his mind, was crazy. I mean, I didn't know how powerful she was, and until the whole scene of her destroying the Illuminati the way she did, and I have to give props of the fight, the choreography, and the way everything planned out. I think was perfect, and I know that a lot of people did not like those scenes because they really wanted to see them having a fight chance. But in all the remembrance, Scarlet Witch was wanted to see her kids battling. She would do anything and kill anyone who stands in her way to to try to be unite with her kids, and she had to do what she had to do.
And Mr. Oyman, I would like to hear your opinion on how they handled Steve Jobs in his mind when he went up against Wanda. Do you think they handled that pretty good?
So I thought it was kind of interesting how this is something that didn't really bother me, but I could see why it might bother some other people. But they only had Wanda actually fighting the female Illuminati. She pretty much takes out all the men without really putting up a fight. I know that Charles Xavier tries to read her mind, but all he does is go up to her to try to help her, and she just comes up and snaps his neck. Like, she doesn't really fight any of the guys. She only fights Captain Carter and Captain Marvel. But it was something that I personally didn't mind. It was just something I noticed, but I could see why some people would have an issue with it. I didn't, though.
Yeah.
What did you think, Alex? Did you notice that?
No, yeah, I did. Right off the bat, I'm like, oh, she only fought chicks. The other guys were taken out of the playing field really fast. Yeah. But again, I do think because I didn't mind what they did. I just felt like it runs into the trope that even the comics run into sometimes, where instead of actually having a character be badass, the way they make them be a threat and stuff like that is to nerf the other characters. And again, if she didn't take out Black Bolt right off the bat, he would have said a word, and even her magic probably would not have helped her when it came to being disintegrated. Yeah. Reed Richards, he's also pretty formidable, and Professor X too. She technically should not have been able, because she's not on the same level telepathically as he is. So he easily could have just put her in a comatose type state. But again, for plot reasons and plot armor that Wanda had, I see why they had her, because she could go toe to toe with Captain Carter, and the outcome of that one was going to be on Wanda's side. And the only one that actually did
still let Captain Carter put up a bit of a fight.
And I feel well, that's what I'm saying. I thought I was kind of stupid, but it is what it is. And then
it could have been more.
With Captain Marvel, I feel like the only reason they did that, other than to show a cool spectacle of a scene, is mainly because I'm similar to fan stuff like with Krasinski and such. Ever since they introduced Captain Marvel and called her the most powerful and all this, and she got her powers from an Infinity Stone, like Wanda technically, although WandaVision kind of retconned that a bit. There's always been the age-old question of who would win in a fight, Captain Marvel or Wanda, and I feel like they kind of did this as a little treat for the fans to finally put that argument to bed.
How did you feel about how they took out Captain Marvel? Because that's been another controversial topic.
I thought it was stupid as hell. I mean, she got thrown through rubble, and then rubble killed her. I'm like, okay.
But the way it kind of played, at least when I saw it with you a second time, it looked to me like she used up all her energy, and so she was depowered, and Wanda got her while she was depowered. She might not have been on the same power level as like Carol, who would have probably survived that. Maybe this Maria Rambeau Captain Marvel wasn't the strongest being in the universe.
But they didn't seem to make that very clear. Like they definitely Captain Marvel in this universe had the exact same power set as the Captain Marvel in our universe. So I'll take that as their 1-to-1. Maybe not in terms of
a little different though.
Not in terms of strategic.
Her beams and everything, it looked like visually different. It was similar, but it was definitely, it wasn't like they literally took the exact same power effect that Carol had and just applied it to Maria Rambeau. Like the way her fist glowed was different, the way that she would fly, everything looked just a little bit different. But
but either way, it just, I don't believe that aspect because again, a typical just regular Captain Marvel in any dimension and such like that is technically like a battery energy manipulator. So even if Wanda is shooting her with magic, she could still technically grab that energy and keep herself going type of deal. It's not, I don't see it as she could run out of it mid-battle. It came off as, again, plot armor, and to show how much of a threat Wanda is, they had to put this team down. Well, and I understand.
How do you think she should have taken out Captain Marvel?
I feel like they could have gotten a little bit more creative. Hell, she could have even used some of that chaos magic that she got from the Darkhold and start getting creative, like bringing demons or stuff like that from like different
save that for later
universes. But like they could have gotten a little bit more creative, like I don't know, Hellfire, something like that. It just. Again, I felt like they only had her take them out because they had to show how powerful she is by undermining these characters. But with all being said, even though it sounds like it's a huge negative, I am kind of glad we got what we got, and they didn't overstay their welcome. They didn't take over the whole movie. I feel like they were in it a healthy amount, and for the sake of plot, I kind of forgive the questionable choices they decided to make, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
But other than that, after that, she gets, what happens? Oh, they go and she gets a hold of America Chavez, and after chasing Christine, Doctor Strange, and Chavez, and I will say that whole sequence where they're going down the tunnel and such like that was genuinely creepy. It was cool. It was really, even that jump scare, that cheap jump scare, I was like, oh, that's pretty awesome. It just
never get me, but I did like it though.
No, I wasn't like jumping like, oh, I was like, it felt like a B-horror movie, but in a good way.
Wait, what about the one where that monster appeared in the tunnel by the throne? Did that one get you?
Monster by the Throne.
People are sitting around like
that one
Wanda,
that
like,
one didn't get
turn
me.
Around and those giant things just appeared.
No, nothing actually like got me, scared me, but I did think it was like creepy. Certain stuff, but like the jump scare didn't make me jump
there.
But she gets American Chavez, and then she teleports her, and she sends Doctor Strange over to the other spot. So since we haven't heard from you, Miss Cap, in a while, how did you feel about that? I personally thought it was cheesy, but somehow worked. That weird fight between evil Strange with the third eye and regular Doctor Strange using the musical notes.
It is my favorite part of the whole movie.
Yeah.
Hands down, the best part of the
It was amazing.
It was
entire
fun.
movie.
It was fun. I will say cheesy but
Honestly,
fun.
it was so creative, and
it.
I loved every second of it. I mean, I was so enamored by it, and I was like right next to JT, and I was all like, I'm like, this is the best part of this entire movie.
Yep.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was not cheesy at all. It wasn't. I loved it.
It was so
there's
fitting
nothing
for
wrong
Doctor
with
Strange.
it.
It was so fitting.
Do you
Like,
agree?
It was so great.
Do you agree, JT? Because it looks like Mr. Oyman and Miss Cap are on the same level.
Definitely.
Yes, I have to agree. I think that besides the fight with the Illuminati, I think this was my favorite part because, like, the score makes it the movie. Like in every movie that you ever
Yes.
see, the score and like this like amps
Score
up
was
like
great here.
the score and them fighting with the notes and you can actually see the notes building up and trying to mix all the cymbals and the brass and the violins and on pianos like keys all coming together to create this masterpiece of like
Schindler effect. Oh,
So great.
chaos of like musical genius.
It was even better by the fact that I kind of looked at the music notes as being like runes and how the wizards have to use like runes to create magic out of. And I don't know, the way that they were creating the staffs and putting the notes on it, like it was just, that was way too cool.
Yeah, I did like it. It was cheesy. It was borderline. Like I'm like, damn, Raimi, what you really went
He
out
really
there.
got
You
away
really
with
went
it.
out there. But again, it somehow worked. It somehow this whole movie shouldn't work for strange
Yes,
reasons,
that's
but
how I
it
felt.
works.
But it
It
did.
works. It was so
Strange for zombie
fantastic.
Strange. It should not have worked, but it just did.
Let's just again, because that's the only place we have really left the final aspect to it. What did y'all think of that? I just, when he went and it was so like cheesy, like it's alive type of thing, and he pulled his hand out and
The Evil Dead hand comes out
Yeah.
of the ground.
and
That was
then
so great.
it was just so awesome, and just the fact that he gets overtaken by these demons, and then Christine helps him out and tells him like you could use them, and then that electric guitar like comes up, and it just showed like.
So great.
I honestly think that is probably one of my favorite moments in the MCU. Obviously, nothing as of right now, and I don't think maybe until Secret Wars comes out, but I don't think anything's gonna top Portals for me. But from Endgame,
Oh, the portals, yeah.
yeah, from Endgame,
Yeah, that was pretty great.
that thing, oof. But
The first
this
time
was-
the Avengers unite too. I love
this
that. Too.
this was one of my like top 5 and not top 3 moments, like when he just grabs those spirits and makes this just, I don't know, like you said,
so great.
it shouldn't work, but it
He
did.
just wraps it around himself, and it becomes a
Uses it
cape.
as a
honestly,
cloak or
Yep.
cape. It was so
And
cool.
those
Yes.
souls are just like, it was one of the most badass looking things I have seen in the MCU to date. It just super over the top, super cheesy at the same time with those
But
dead-eyed
super fitting
sounding
for Doctor Strange.
yeah, but it worked. It
Yes.
was so mesmerizing for me. What did you like that scene, JT?
I did. Because like I think that when you fight in Scarlet Witch, you need to fight evil with evil, and Doctor Strange knew that, and so he uses his own, zombie Strange, uses demons, which somewhat equal, like maybe greater power to the Scarlet Witch, and they just caused a big fight at at the altar, and it was incredible. I thought that scene was amazing.
Yeah.
I
And then-
enjoyed it.
And then of course, he still is outmatched, and he gets taken out by the Scarlet Witch after saving Wong. Still badass though, in my opinion. But it leads us to our final aspect of when America Chavez finally, he's supposed to sacrifice her. Even Wong was like, take her powers or whatever, and Doctor Strange decides, you know what? After outmatched, gets taken out by the Scarlet Witch after saving Wong. Still badass though, in my opinion. But it leads us to our final aspect of when America Chavez finally, he's supposed to sacrifice her. Even Wong was like, wait, who has the thing on? And Doctor Strange decides, Jonathan, you know what? Are you playing the thing back? Yo, turn that shit off. Yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry for the technical difficulties. But so
that?
I don't know. Somebody was playing the video in on their phone or whatever, and it like quadruple echoed.
Created, yeah.
It was terrible. It was
Bad.
terrible. That was Jesus. But anyways, like I was saying, it led us to our final battle where, well, not battle, but America Chavez, Doctor Strange finally gives up, and I do like that arc. I like the fact that this whole this whole movie was showing that the consequences of Endgame and such like that, where Doctor Strange did feel the need to make certain calls that, while he felt were the right calls, there might have been other ways to do it. Even if he did check 14 million or billion different things, there might have been alternatives to where he could have changed one little thing and it might have made things a lot better. So he finally decides he's not going to be the one to call the shots, and he gives control, and that's what Christine says. You always have to be the one with the knife, like in the surgery table. You always have to be the one in control. So he finally puts his trust in someone else, and he lets America Chavez take it from here. And Mr. Oyman, since we haven't really heard from you in a while, what did you think? Did you think they handled that right when Scarlet Witch gets outed to her kids, or do you think that was like kind of like an easy rush, like, oh, we need to wrap this up, let's just have her kids automatically see that she's a monster without questioning what's going on? You still there, Mr. Oyman?
Sorry, could you repeat that? Do you think they handled what?
The whole aspect, do you think it was done well with her having to confront her kids and America Chavez doing that, or do you think that was like they could have gone a little bit extra, like the extra mile, and gone a little bit more in depth to that?
Normally I would say yeah, but because of how much we got of that aspect of her story with WandaVision, I thought that honestly it kind of, I mean, to me it made sense because America Chavez doesn't have control of her powers, even kind of helps her find the control she needs, and she uses that control to essentially defeat Wanda by exposing her to as a monster to what her kids would see if she indeed did it, take out their mother and become their mother for them, which is a very classic, like, fairy tale kind of story to have like a witch take over being a mother figure to children that are like scared of her or whatever. So I kind of liked how they did it. It was very Sam Raimi in its execution, but it also kind of made sense to where Wanda's story was going at that point to end it there.
All right. And of course, what's it called? That basically leads us to the conclusion. Wanda collapses the Darkhold. She basically says, I'm not going to let anyone ever be tempted by the Darkhold again. And again, if you don't see a body, they're not dead. That's the golden rule of both TV shows.
This
and
version
stuff.
is done though.
Yep.
But
This version's done.
I
The
don't
story's
know.
done.
I thought
How do you redeem her? She straight up was a monster. She had to kill herself.
Yeah, but again,
If they bring her back, it'll be a multiversal version, like they did with Evan Peters or something.
I don't know if
That's what
they're
I really think they're gonna do.
I don't know if they're gonna like fully redeem her, but she might not be on the Avengers side. She might not be a bad guy anymore. She's just gonna be in that little in between space.
She'll be a break glass when you need to use kind of character. Like, oh shit, we need to get the Scarlet Witch in here.
Yeah, more or less like last resort. Like, oh, we can't go get her because she was bad. But it's like, oh, but times have gotten so.
But that's
desperate.
what I mean. I think like her story is done. Like she's accepted that she doesn't have vision. She's accepted that she won't be able to be with her children, but she'll know that they'll be loved. Like
yeah,
the
but
version of her
I don't
said.
think she's
that
dead.
was the kind of she forgave herself for becoming what she became and decided to sacrifice herself.
Again, I don't like if they wanted to kill her off, they would have shown her actually die. Like you would have seen a lot more. But it's like the building around her started collapsing, and then they decided to just show from the outside. It just
that flash.
We've seen that too many times. We've seen it.
They did that in case they wanted to bring her back, but I think personally, what makes most sense with their story is to end it there. And if they do bring her back, it'll just be like a different version of Wanda or something. But
Plus,
We'll
in
see.
in
I
Marvel, in Marvel, no one but Uncle Ben stays dead, and even he came back for a little bit. So it personally, I'm with you. I'd rather she came full circle like 2 times. I don't need to see another variation of that. I feel like this character has peaked, and it could only go downhill from there. But who knows? They could surprise us. I'm pretty sure they're gonna bring her back. I mean, there's two. Again, if they wanted to, they would have shown her die, like legit shown her. And they ain't shy of showing people getting a. They didn't shy in this movie of like showing
like
people die.
Aunt May, for instance. Like we know Aunt May is gone. She's not coming back.
And I mean,
Yeah.
they could have shown a rock hitting her head because I mean they showed Doctor Strange getting impaled, people cut in half, heads exploding. So it wouldn't be beneath them to actually show her being dead.
Well, again, she'll definitely be back. No regard, but I think this story of hers is done. I don't think they're going to continue this. Wanda searching for her kids. Like it would be super redundant if they just brought her back and she's like, "Oh, my family." But they could bring her back and she's like, I saw what I became. I'm just gonna completely change my path now and
but here's
on
the
being
thing:
a helpful witch.
they're gonna need to bring her kids back too for the Young Avengers because they're going that way.
Oh, that's right.
So
I forgot about that. You're right.
I don't know.
Never mind everything I said. She'll be back in Agatha House of Harkness.
Yeah, that's where I see her coming back.
There we go.
But either way,
her story's not done. You're right.
It's what's it called? So the very, very ending. Okay, I know Mr. Oyman. We've talked about this, and I want to hear the opinions from. Well, the audience would want to hear your opinion, but I want to hear JT and Miss Cap's opinion too. Did any of y'all feel like really weird about that ending? Like they shot 2 different endings, and they didn't know which one they liked better, so they said, "Why not both?" And you get this like very Sam Raimi ending where you could tell that's what he wanted to, where it's like, yeah, the hero won, let's go over here. And
the rock guitar.
Yeah, the rock guitar, and all of a sudden the third eye comes out and he gets dragged to hell, basically. Like the movie Drag Me to Hell.
Or Evil Dead.
Or Evil Dead. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
last second.
But then there was the mid-credits scene, which was technically still an actual part of the movie and not like Papa Pizza in the second credit scene. But what's it called? It felt like that previous scene didn't even happen. He's just casually strolling down, and then Charlize Theron comes. What did Lucia say? She comes over to take him to Fast 9 or whatever. But what's it called? Did y'all feel? Well, I know I'll let Mr. Oyman go last this time, but JT, why don't you start and then you, Miss Cap? Did y'all feel the same thing, that it was like Sam Raimi wanted one ending and Marvel wanted another, and they just said we'll do them both?